Hello, everyone. I'm Geeta Nadkarni, and today we're going to be talking about how to get more referrals because we all know that a business that is generating referrals is a joyful business, right? So, today we're going to talk about some of the more uncommon truths about getting referrals. I know everybody else is going to tell you just ask for them like they're going to magically appear. I'm going to teach you today why that is probably not your first move and what to do instead. All right. So if you're watching me live, give me a big old hashtag live in the comments. And I have a question for you. Obviously, you're welcome to ask me questions as we go through the training. Pop your questions into the comments, and I will always either take them live at the end of the training or come back and answer them in the comments. But what I would like us to do today is I would like you to answer the question, what is your biggest struggle with referrals? What is your biggest struggle with referrals? Tell me in the comments. Give me a big old hashtag live. I know I see some of you popping on here. If you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay so that I know who my replay peeps are. I always come back and I check and see. I know all your names. I know who's been watching the replay. So let me know. Let me know what's resonating for you. Let me know what ahas you have and let me know what questions you have. All right, let's get into the training because today I want to talk about how to generate more referrals. And let me be crystal clear about what I mean by referrals so that we're all on the same page, right? What you want is for your clients to be so excited and so happy with the service. And we've gotten to a place in our business where we're getting referrals from people who haven't even worked with us yet. They've just been interacting with live content like this, free content like this. They've maybe been following me for a while. Sometimes they've done an epiphany session. They've had their epiphany for whatever reason, financially or otherwise. It's not been time for us to move forward. But because they really get what we're about and they're loving it and they're getting results with it, they're referring us without even having been in the program. So today I'm going to share some of how we created that and how we can make that happen in your business. All right, are you excited? Give me a big thumbs up or a love signal if that is something that's exciting to you. All right, so let's just dive right in, right? Asking for a referral isn't always effective. Now, I'll explain to you what I mean by this because I know I've been in plenty of business coaching programs where everyone's like, just ask for a referral. You know, there'll be different times where you're sent an email and it's automated and people ask you at the end of the call, hey, okay, so if you are enjoying this, do you have any friends or family that could benefit from this? I'm not saying that's not effective. It is effective if you do it right. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So I've had experiences where once I was working with a coach and I liked him well enough, but about 2 weeks into our work together, he was like, hey, if you know any friends and family, I would really appreciate a referral. But 2 weeks in, we hadn't yet seen any major changes. So while I was enjoying our interactions and while I was hopeful and trusting the process and all that good stuff, it didn't feel authentic to me because the thing about me, and I'm assuming you're probably similar to this, is when you love something, you freaking tell the world about it. Like I can't stop referring people to companies that I love, whether that's products or coaching based or whatever. Like when I find something, if I read a book that I love, you'll see I probably sell more books than most bookstores because I'm always like, oh my God, I read this in this book and you absolutely need to read this book. It's an amazing book. And then people will buy it. Because when you're excited about something, it is contagious, right? I wasn't excited yet. So when you ask a client for a referral before they're in that place where they're super excited and would have done it of their own volition without you having to ask, it gets a little bit awkward and it probably won't work anyway, right? They're not going to do it just to be polite. Nobody does that. Have you ever referred somebody just to be polite to the person that you were referring them to? That's not a thing. You're going to be more polite to the person that you're speaking with about the referral, correct? All right. So what you want to be doing is if it's too early and if it's not, and the transformation hasn't happened yet, if the coaching hasn't made an impact yet, it is not time to ask for a referral. If you can see that somebody has really had an amazingly transformative experience, then yes, at that point say, hey, do you know anybody who would benefit from this kind of work? Do you know anyone in your circle? At that point, when they're riding that high, that's a great time. So that's when you ask for the referral. Now you have a clear sense of when it's a good idea and when it's not. Next point, should you offer financial incentives? Hey, Nita. Hey, Kala. Lisa's here. Fantastic. So should you offer financial incentives? My short answer is why not? I mean, you don't have to. And I want to be crystal clear about this. A coaching program that I'm in, Dan Sullivan's strategic coach, they don't offer any financial incentives. You could send them 100 people that all sign up and you wouldn't make a single penny off of it. At the same time, people like Russell Brunson of ClickFunnels have built a very successful business by allowing you to become an affiliate, right? An affiliate is basically a referral that gets some kind of kickback. And he built a multi-million business by giving everybody a slice of the pie. So it's up to you. Whatever resonates for you is totally fine. So here's how we do it in our company. So we give people a $500 referral fee for everybody that they refer to us that actually becomes a full paying client, right? So it's a decent chunk of change. Like, it's not something to sneeze at, but at the same time, it's not like thousands of dollars either, right? So what the reason we do that is because, first of all, we're a premium coaching program. Like, we're not inexpensive to work with. The investment is in the 15 to 20K range, right? For the full program. So the kind of people that are going to be referred to us are significant. And I'm always really touched and flattered when somebody goes out of their way to talk us up to somebody else that's going to make that kind of investment. So I love to be able to share the joy and share the wealth. One of my core values is creating opportunity for others. Like, I love creating opportunities for others. So this is just because it resonates with me and it makes me joyful. When I cut those $500 checks, like, they really make me happy. They make me feel like it is working at a whole different level because I'm feeding not just myself and our company and our team, I'm feeding somebody else too. And that really excites me. So just for the excitement factor, for us, it's a good fit. For you, it may not be, right? And you don't need to do 500. You could do $50. $50 buys you a really nice meal, right? For one. So it doesn't have to be a huge amount of money. It's just a token amount that makes somebody feel good about referring you. So there's that. We did not want to, we also didn't make it too much money because what we don't want to do is have people refer us inauthentically, where basically they're like, referring to us is their business. Although with $500, this is I guess you could have a fairly, like a small $2,500 a month business if you did that. We don't want people to do it inauthentically, though. We want people to do it because they really believe in what we do. So that's my answer to, should you offer financial incentives? Tell me what your epiphanies or your ahas are in the comments. Thank you, Kala. She says, love Geeta, so much value. Thank you. So number 3, what is the gold standard then for getting referrals? I've just told you, I've given you sort of what to do, what not to do, whether financial incentives are a good idea. And that's a tactic, but it is not your main strategy. So there's a difference between tactic and strategy, right? Tactic is just a small thing that you do. Tactics change day to day. Strategy is kind of the overarching logic of how all the tactics play together. Just so we're on the same page. So what is the gold standard for getting referrals? The answer is, of course, your client testimonials, your client success. And this is one of the reasons we have an entire week, an entire module dedicated in our program for how to structure your client success stories right so that they're driving business to you. One of our goals with every client that signs up for the program is to be able to record. So where I record with them a client journey. And this is structured in a very deliberate way, and we teach it in the program. We structure it such that you're telling the story of what happened before, what were the pain points, what was going on in their life that made them reach out for this kind of help. And then they move through, like, okay, then what happened next? They joined up in the program. They joined the program. What were some of their objections that we together had to overcome to get them into the program? What were some of their continued resistances within the program? What broke? This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Like, what broke? Like, what didn't work? Where we're like, it's the hero's journey, right? When the hero falls off a cliff, right towards the end, where you're like, oh, he's almost there, and then something bad happens. there's always that moment in the program. There's always this moment of freak out. There's always this moment of angst or like, oh, despair. What do we do? We know this is part of the growth process. We are equipped with the tools to deal with it. So I love telling the stories of what happens. This is a huge piece of show don't tell, which, as you know, if you followed me for any length of time, is one of my core principles with messaging. You have to be able to demonstrate how you do what you do. And so we structure it that way. And then towards the end, you talk about, okay, here, and then here are the results. Here's what sustained results are. Here's what came from those results, the results of the results, if you will, and so on and so forth. So when somebody watches a video like that, I'll be honest, like we record one almost every week now. When somebody watches a video like that, they relate to that particular client of ours, it's so easy for them to sell themselves, because they resonate on all the real points, not the surface level stuff. They're like, this is my problem. I'm wired exactly like this. I struggle with this. That would totally happen to me. I would be so frustrated if that happened. I wouldn't know what to do. And then to hear me talk through what we did and to know that we have a strategy to move them through some of that stuckness, that makes a big difference. That's what builds trust. So that's what you want. And I'm going to give you an example of a clip that, this is a teeny tiny piece of a much longer interview that we had with a client of ours, Stephanie. So she runs, when she came to the program, I've probably told the story before, but when she came to the program, we almost canceled her epiphany session. And in fact, I took the session personally because the app was kind of vague. And we were like, oh, she seems like she's way too early. She's not ready for what we can do. But it was too tight in time. We hadn't reacted soon enough, so we hadn't canceled the application. And then I was like, well, I'm not going to waste somebody's time that, we wouldn't show up that way. So I was like, I'll do the call. I figured it was going to be like a 10 or 15 minute call. And I was just going to let this person, I was going to hear her out, give her some thing that would help her, maybe give her some free resources from our Facebook group or our YouTube channel, and then just send her on her way. And then she could, use that and become more prepared and then come back when the time was right. That was what I was expecting would happen. Instead, we ended up having like a 90-minute deep dive. I realized this girl is so freaking smart. She is really, really, really accomplished. She's a nurse, or soon to be was a nurse, but she's currently still employed, but she's quitting her job at the end of October, at the end of the month. And she basically runs teams for hospitals and things like that. And we helped her structure her program, basically create a business from scratch. She didn't have the idea. 9 weeks later, by teaching other nurses how to work with attorneys and basically have their own legal nursing programs, she had made $20,000. 4 months later, so she's in our long-term 12-month mastery program now. 4 months later, she had retired her husband. And now this past month, she made, get this, people, $90,000. She's making 90 grand a month. And she is about to quit her day job. So she has just a lot of abundance in her life now. In fact, I'm going to let her tell you in her own words so you can see what I mean.
If you're looking for life-changing results, you will get it. Allow yourself to trust yourself, and it will come. It doesn't usually come in the most traditional form either, but it will come. I 1000% do not regret at all any of it that I spent, and have made it back. I can't even tell you how many times. So it's valuable. It's worth it. And again, it's life-changing. My husband and I are like, I'm quitting my job. My husband has quit his. We went from both working 9 to 5s, depending on them, to in less than a year, not needing them at all. Right? And it's not about survival, it's about thriving. And that's where we live. We live so abundantly in what we have. There's so much value. There's so much, it's so much more than just a coaching program. It's so much more.
So as you can see, and that's just a teeny tiny piece. If you're interested in watching the entire clip where Stephanie actually shares the specific strategies that we gave her in the program, the most effective things that worked for her from our program, so you could probably try before you buy, put the words easy in the chat, in the comment section below. And I'll see, like, once we're ready to release it, I'll make sure that you get tagged on this interview. It hasn't even been released yet. We haven't even fully added the music and stuff at the end. So just pop the comment easy, and then she'll kind of, you can, I'll make sure that you get tagged. All right. Moving on, I want to talk about hold space. Like you, how, what is, so what do you do where, if you've ever struggled with this, how many of you who do deep transformation with your clients, you're frustrated because your clients don't know how to refer you. It's like they talk about you and they gush, and the more they gush, they kind of, they sound like they're fangirling about you, and it doesn't really help explain what you do. And so it's really frustrating for them that they can't communicate the value of the transformation that they've lived. And it's frustrating for you because people don't really understand what the heck you do, and then you're not getting business out of it, even though they're trying to give you business out of it, if you see what I mean, right? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make sure that you're holding space for your clients. So what this means is that you want to listen. When you listen to your clients and you hold space for them, you're going to see their trajectory from confusion to clarity to profit. At least that's what our client trajectory typically looks like, right? What's beautiful about that is that you're helping clients get results, and you're really paying attention to those internal shifts that happen that allow the client to then make that leap to that next up level, and then make that leap to that other next up level. Does that make sense? You're hearing what's really going on. You're not, how many times have you worked with a client and then they have like an amazing result and you're like, I'm not sure I did anything. I'm not sure how much of that was mine and how much of that was just them. When you learn how to hold space effectively, then what you're doing is you're slowing them down enough that they become more aware of what they're doing so they can do it in a more repeatable manner. And then you become aware of what they're doing so that you can bring it into your program and do it in a more repeatable manner, not just with that client, but with everybody. That leads to better results, that leads to better testimonials, like we just discussed, and that's going to lead to more referrals. Plus, when you slow them down and they are able to understand exactly what is shifting and how the shifts are happening and what are the specific things that they need to repeat versus what were the lucks or flukes or pieces, that just came in and were happenstance, that's going to allow them to articulate that much better to other people. And that brings me to my last and final point, which is what to do when your best clients cannot describe your work effectively. So here's the deal. It's not your client's job to dial in your messaging, right? It's not their job to dial in your messaging. What you want to be doing, so how many of you here have coaching programs or have worked with clients, whether you've worked with them for fee or free, I don't care, but you've helped people create genuine transformations in their lives? Tell me in the comments, what is the transformation that you have helped people with in their life? Just pop that in the comments, okay? What is the transformation that you've helped them with? So here's the deal. It's your job to really crystallize and articulate what are the specific steps that are required what are the mini milestones that you create along the journey that lead to the final outcome. Most of us, and certainly clients, will typically be like, here was my before and there was my after, and it was amazing, and you should totally work with her because she's fantastic. But that's not super effective. It's good. It's a great starting point. I'm not knocking it, but it's not as effective as what we teach because it leaves out all the juicy bits, all the detail, right? Why is reality TV so popular these days? Because it gives you the journey of it. It allows you a window that it feeds our need to be voyeurs, to be participating by watching something happen, right? And the more that we crispen and articulate the specifics of the different shifts that happened, the more even just the person watching the testimonial will be like, oh my God, I feel different now. I feel different. You will create energetic and emotional shifts in their body because they're able to relate not just to the pain at the beginning, but they're able to relate to some of the shifts. Does that make sense? So that can be really, really powerful. So when they're gushing, what would be really more powerful for your prospective client to say is to say, hey, would you like to, like, let's say you make a video with one of your clients, right? like we teach, then you could just be like, oh my God, I made this video with you. I love it. If you ever meet somebody who you think could benefit, then you could just send them this video. And that way, no one's picking their brain. No one needs to call and speak to your clients. Have you ever had that? Or maybe you've wanted to do it where you're like, no, you need to put me in touch with a bunch of your clients before I can make a decision. Well, this way, it's like talking to a client, but they can watch 10 videos if they need to. They can speak to, right? 10 different clients with 10 different varying circumstances. And then they can make up their mind if not just the results, but if the entire journey resonates with them. That's what I love about this process, is because what you're doing essentially is you're giving your clients a more effective tool to talk about your work to the people who are like, damn, you're looking different. Like, what happened to you? Why are you glowing like that? And then they can be like, I have been working with this coach, and oh my God, you need to know about it, right? And now they have something that they can share with this client, with this prospect rather. They can share something with their friend. If you don't have a website, and most of our clients don't have websites because they might be brand new to online, they're bringing an existing expertise into online for the first time, or they've been doing it for a while, but their website is out of date or whatever it is. You don't need a website, right? That's why you notice I never referred to a website. But if you're making videos like this, you're putting them on YouTube, you're putting them on Instagram, or wherever it is that you want to be present, whatever your social media platform of choice is, depending on obviously where your clients like to play, this is a really smart, effective way for people to check you out, and for people, your own existing clients, to have something to share with others, to say, go follow her there. Go check her out on Facebook. Go read her messages. Go watch not just my video with her, but a whole bunch of other videos with her. Does that make sense? There you go. So tell me what your biggest aha is so far. So I'm going to read some of the comments that you guys have put in here, talking about what it is you do and what the transformation is. So Lara says, I've helped them defeat perfectionism so they can speak confidently. That's beautiful. I don't always get names. So somebody else says, accelerate their career and attract new proximity of opportunities. Fantastic. Anita says, eating more vegetables, self-efficacy in meal prep, identification of limiting beliefs. Right. You might want to flip the order of that, because the biggest one is the limiting beliefs and everything else flows from that. And Kundan says, yes, it's not my client's job to do my messaging. It's exactly right. You don't need and you don't need it to be fancy, but you do need clarity. If you have clarity, here's the thing that I see with a lot of people. We're so deep doing the work, we're so buried in the work, that we forget how little of the work is obvious from the outside, right? And we struggle to explain it to people. Sometimes it may be because we're not 100% clear that we understand how it all works ourselves. So that's what I see, is oftentimes when people are having trouble articulating it, it's because they haven't fully understood which pieces of it are the most effective, are the most that's why I talked about holding space and really listening for, like, where is the shift actually happening? Can I identify the specific exercise that led to this? Can I identify the life circumstances that needed to be combined with the exercises that really led to this this effective shift, right? When you can articulate that, the more you can describe the process. Remember, I said process, not program. I'm not telling you to describe the program, but I am telling you to demonstrate the process, to be like, here's what it looks like. Here's what we would do if we were to work together. When you know how to language this and you have patterns that you can put this out in, people are already kind of in their minds kind of tasting. They're having a little hors d'oeuvre of what it would be like to have the whole main course of working with you all the way. They're able to do it in such a way that opens, assuming they're the right fit, that opens their appetite, so that they can then imagine, what would it be like to have the main course? What would it be like to feel full like this, to be satisfied, to have the final outcome? That's what you want to create. All right. So Lara says her aha is, have them share the video we made with leads, friends, colleagues. Exactly. And when you're sharing this on whatever platform you happen to be playing on, and yes, you can do this even if you're brand new to social or you hate social media. Believe me, I've worked with people who have both, right? Who have no followers, aren't on social. You can start from zero. We have a training in our program that literally lets you start from zero, and you can build a following of just ideal prospects. You don't even need to friend your friends and family. You can literally have it just for work. And you can use this process where now your messaging is really just about the work, right? Brene Brown isn't talking about what she had for lunch. Brene Brown is talking about shame and vulnerability. And the only time she talks about lunch is if lunch somehow pertains to those things. Having that, having a place for people to taste your work and really imagine what it's like to work with you is what's going to get you more referrals, even from people who haven't worked with you yet. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Come back next week where we're going to do another deep dive. And if you have comments or questions, please pop them into the comment section and I will hang out here and answer your questions. And if I can't answer your questions, I will do another live where I answer your questions in a video. This one. See you next week.